Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Chase Utley back in town, and this time a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers going up against the Philadelphia Phillies, a team that he brought a World Series championship to town, and then he had a very special speech of world effing champions. Now joining us is a former teammate of Chase Utley, does a tremendous job now in the booth for Phillies baseball on Comcast Sportsnet with my friends Tom McCarthy and Ben Davis, and that's the 2008 World Series champion, Matt Stairs. Matt, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Well, I'm doing great, and it's going to be a special night, and you guys are also having a fun broadcast tonight near Harry the K's in the outfield on Comcast Sportsnet, so excited for the broadcast tonight, I have to imagine.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be, well, they're going to make a decision at 6 o'clock because there's a few storms rolling through, but hopefully the storms miss. And look, whenever you get a chance to broadcast up in the stands, like the last 2 years we've done, it's a blast. And looking forward to being up in the Harry Callis up in that area and doing some broadcasting up there.
A lot of hecklers when you do that type of broadcast in the stands?
No, actually there's zero. A lot of guys, they sit around like, 2 years ago we sat out in center field, so there's people walking behind us, and they were hooping and hollering, having a good time, but no heckling going on. Last year we were right by the on-deck circle, so of course the hecklers don't sit down in the front rows. And I think we're going to be so far up at Harry the K's that all the hecklers are going to be in front of us.
Harry Callis meant so much to this franchise and has an iconic voice. You play that voice for years, and everyone still knows what that means, and unfortunately left us a little bit earlier than he should have. But what was your relationship like as a player with Harry?
Well, I was just actually getting to know Harry. It seemed like, I was traded in, August, end of August. I met him a few times in September, of course, and we talked a little bit. And of course in 2009, hanging out on the flights and talking to him as much as I could. And he was just one of those guys very easy to approach. And, I remember the day he passed away, I was very fortunate to hit his last call that he made in Colorado. And, of course, the next day he passed away. So, we were talking before he went up the elevator to ask him what kind of pitch it was and, just basically what kind of approach I had when I came off the bench. And tremendous guy, and he respected everyone with a lot of respect, and everyone respected him as well.
Matt Stairs joins us right now, and tonight is about remembering the past, and it's going to be a special scene, and the fans are going to give Chase Utley a standing ovation. But that era of Phillies baseball is remembered greatly in this town, especially because what you guys were able to accomplish in 08. When you take a look back after all these years about that 08 run, just what stands out to you about that team?
Well, I think there's a lot of things, but honestly, I think that, we had so many great players, and they didn't try to be that guy to carry the ball club. Just if you break down the lineup, it was they're willing to take pitches, they're willing to get in the bullpen early, they're willing to take pitches to get on base, and then of course it was one of those things where. No one said I want to be that guy. It was one big team. It was a happy team. It was a fun team. Off the field before games, we used to goof around that at the pool. And but I'll tell you what, it was one of the most serious teams I've seen. Once they stepped between the white lines, and they got the job done. They knew how to win. They were hungry for it, and there was no BS going around. It was strictly baseball.
And that trio of Utley, Howard, and Rollins is clearly a special one and put up many great numbers for this franchise. And you came over in a trade during that 08 season. So how'd you view those three players before the trade?
Well, it was tremendous. I mean, I've played against them before, and quite a few times. I had pretty good success against the Phillies. And, I remember Jimmy, first time I met Jimmy Rollins, he said, man, when I was a kid, I used to watch you play in Oakland. So right there, that's Jimmy. He's that type of guy. And Chase came over and he gives you that firm handshake and says, "Welcome to the ball club." And he goes down and watches video. And of course, Ryan is just Ryan. He's just the big teddy bear that you sit there and you can talk about it. And he laughs about some home runs that I hit against the Phillies. And it was very special joining this team, knowing that the type of players they had and how professional they were on the field, that's for sure.
How about the leadership of Chase Utley? Because he really represented this city well with the way that he led that team and his blue-collar personality.
Well, yeah, his leadership, Chase is one of those leaders that you really look up to, and it's not because what he says in the locker room. The locker room hooping and hollering is for, let's face it, guys who don't play a whole lot. Myself and I was the idiot in the locker room that was always chirping and getting guys going. I think what he does is that he just leads by example. He never takes a play off. He never takes a ground ball off. It doesn't matter if he hit it hard back to pitcher or if it's a weak fly ball. He's given his 100% to first base. And honestly, that's the way he played. That's the way that people wanted to see him play. That's what he expected out of himself every day when he played the game. And honestly, that's how he led by leadership. And then, of course, what he does on and off the field are just above and beyond.
So what was your favorite Chase Utley moment, if you had to pick one?
Well, of course, what he said in the parade. I think there's so many of them. I think, to me, I think the one that stands out is the great play in the World Series where he made a great play up the middle, faked throw to first base and threw home. And I think J.C. Romero was on the mound, and I can't remember who he threw out at home plate, but it was just a real heads-up play. The home runs he hit in the World Series in 09. I mean, there's a lot of them. Just eating the peanut butter and jelly every day at the same time and going through his routine. There's a lot of things that stick out, but it'd be too hard to sit there and say one thing that sticks out.
And that ovation from the crowd that day, and a parade in Philadelphia is always special, but when you drop an F-bomb at a parade, there's nothing better than it, Matt.
I don't know if I was more shocked that was the F-bomb being dropped or Jason Worth's reaction. Remember J-Dub had that big hand, had the beer sitting on it, and as soon as he dropped it, Jason he comes out of his seat like, woohoo! And it was interesting. But you know what, though? Coming from Chase, you could tell it meant a lot. He's I don't know if I ever heard him say that word hanging around him. And he dropped out the parade. It was priceless.
And I always wondered this, and we're talking with Matt Stairs, who does a tremendous job covering the Phillies for Comcast Sportsnet, and you could watch him tonight as Chase Utley returns to Citizens Bank Ballpark. I always wondered how tough it was for you players emotionally to wait with the suspension of the game. And you guys are so close to bringing that championship to Philadelphia, and you had to wait because of the rain.
There's not a lot of words to describe that, except for brutal. You know you're so close, and you know that you're playing. You're playing great baseball, especially at home. We never lost that whole year in the playoffs. Just the atmosphere, this unbelievable city. Coming to the ballpark, it didn't matter who was walking up the home plate. They were on their feet, hooping and hollering, having a blast, and expecting something very special. And then the rain comes, and it comes, and it comes some more, and then all of a sudden they ran out of things to talk about. So they had to figure out who was going to be the pinch hitter. When we finally come back, is it going to be myself or Jeff Jenkins? So, it's brutal. But on the other hand, I mean, we had a good time. We went back to the locker room every day, took batting practice as much as we could. We had fun. We spent time as a group, and I think that was the biggest thing, is that we knew we were so close. I mean, we could taste it. So we did a lot of good things around that locker room and had fun and hooped and hollered, like I said, and enjoyed our time. But we were really great back at it.
And everyone in this town is going to remember you for that home run that you hit in the NLCS. How many times do people still bring that up to you, and what do you remember about that prodigious home run?
Well, I think every day I hear somebody mention about it. It's amazing that it seems like that's the only home run I ever hit in my career, but it's definitely, if you look at your home runs throughout your career, where does it stand? It's for team-wise, it's definitely number one you hit. And, really, I had 8 days off before that at bat. And, I can sit here and go through the pitch by pitch and what was going through my mind, but, really I wanted to have an at-bat where I knew if he makes a mistake that I wanted him to pay. And, after the first pitch, I thought it was like 91, 92. Everything was in slow motion. I didn't hear the crowd. I didn't hear anyone. I didn't hear his music coming in. I looked up, it was 97. And next thing I realized, okay, that's a good spot. That's a good area where you want to be. And I'd never forget the next pitch he threw a slider down and in. And I said, I took it for a ball, and I said, wow. I must be seeing the ball well, because that's that area where the lefties love to swing at, and then of course the home run. And then all I thought of was don't trip on the bases. So there's a lot. But I hear. Like I said, every day I was doing some hitting clinics today at the Philadelphia hit zone, and the mom and the kid was talking about it as well. So it was a good time. It was a great timing for a home run for a city that needs a World Series championship.
No question, and that spot is so tough to just be put off the bench and inserted into the lineup. And you had 23 pinch hit home runs in your career. Just what made you so good in that moment?
I didn't care if I got a base hit or struck out.
Wow.
Honestly,
really?
And that sounds weird. I think you have to, as a pinch hitter, you can't put pressure on yourself thinking, I have to get a hit here. I haven't got a hit in a couple of days. The next thing you know is you're going to be squeezing the bat a little tight. You're going to go out of your strikes and swing at the pitcher's pitch. I never put pressure on myself. Never took a bat home for me when I pinch hit. I mean, even when I was going well, or when I was really, really brutal here in 2009 for that stretch of 2 months, I left the ballpark and said, I'll get him tomorrow. And I think that's the biggest thing. One is I didn't expect to get a hit. I didn't put pressure on myself. But I think really the biggest thing that really helped me pinch hitting is I accepted my role, and I wanted to be that guy in that inning.
As we're wrapping up with Matt Stairs, who joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. So how about the Phillies right now? It's been a surprising season to me. I like the job Pete Mackanin has done, but how about the direction that this team's moving in?
Direction is going in the right direction. I think you have to be extremely happy the way they played this year. They hit a little speed bump, but honestly, I think it's you're going to see that from young kids, and I call them kids, younger players. But honestly, I always look and see how they're going to bounce back in the adjustments they've made, and the offenses have been clicking in this month of August. We've hit a few bumps with pitchers of getting hurt or getting some line drives off the wrist, but I'm very pleased. And I think there's room for an improvement. You don't expect these guys to come out and play their best baseball this year. I think the more at-bats Michael Franco gets, he's going to learn the strike zone more. He's going to learn what type of hitter he is, how important he is in the middle of that lineup. Tommy Joseph has done a nice job of bouncing back after a tough 2 or 2.5 week span of swinging and missing a lot. He's made the adjustment. Cameron Rupp. But honestly, I think you have to give your hats off, to Ryan Howard and to Carlos Ruiz for being 2 veterans that their playing time has come down. But these guys have been tremendous, very supportive, great in the locker room, great on the bench, and I think that has a big part of the success the Phillies have done this year.
Has Howard opened up to you because you were a former teammate of his for a bunch of years? Did he open up to you about this whole process and what it's been like and what he's going through?
No, Ryan Howard?
Yes.
We've talked. I think the biggest thing is that, we talked about it. I said, you got to change your stance. You got to get into an area where you feel like you can sit for 4 or 5 or 6 days and not play. And then when you do get an opportunity to play, take advantage of it. And he's done that. Ryan's Ryan. He doesn't complain. He doesn't, I've known him since 2008, and I've never heard him complain. He's like sometimes, last year, if he didn't know if he was playing or not, you never heard, but he just goes about his business, and he keeps working, and he doesn't want to be that guy that brings down a locker room. Even though inside it might be killing him, he's the guy that just goes and does his work, takes his ground ball, watches the game when he's called upon to play. So he's been really good that way, and he hasn't really opened up a whole lot about this year, playing, how much he played this year.
Matt, we appreciate the time tonight. I just have one confession for you before we let you run. I'm a big-time New York Mets fan, but I can listen to you talk baseball all day.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And I won't hold that against you being a Mets fan.
Yeah, well, you guys screwed me over when you guys were winning all those games, and we were choking 24/7.
Well, I always said to people, if you don't like it, play better. So.
Matt, thanks so much. It's so true.
All right, guys. Cheers.